Oh, I'm Baldin Zawe Lama Rinpoche, and I get you up at the tension like a tension of manage. Kusun to Kingo to Zanto, so Chancho Senju Rinpoche, Maki Panam Kiki, Kipana. What? Excuse me. Gone to Belwa, show Sinjanam Sabatan Loy, Chetachita, what you do. Chucky Kolo Korto, so. Hello, everyone. And we are talking on the torch of certainty. And till now, we have already talked about the general motto. And today we are talking on the special motto. And when we are talking about special motto, then we have Kyapto or refuge. And then we have the Vajrasattva practice, and then Mandala practice, and Guru Yoga. So today we are and today we will be talking on Kyapto or the refuge. So in the refuge, so in the beginning, when we are doing the refuge, what we have to visualize is we visualize that the place where you are is extremely clean and it's purified, and it is filled with very lovely green trees and filled with flowers blooming. And then right in the middle of that, there is a lake which is filled with very, very extremely clean water. And then in the middle of the water, there is a wish fulfilling tree. And the wish fulfilling tree has like the main trunk, I think. Yeah, I think something like a trunk. And then it has like 5 branches, main branches, spreading out. And in the middle of these 5 branches, or the one in the center, so in that, they are like a big, very extremely majestic throne, which is carried by 8 snow lions. So in each direction, there are like 2 snow lions. So 2 snow lions in the east, 2 snow lions in the west, and 2 in the north, and the 2 in the south. So they are holding the majestic throne. And then the throne is filled with all these precious clothes, like brocades and all this stuff. And then on top of that, there is a lotus flower, which has like 1,000 petals. And then on top of that lotus flower, there is the moon disk, and then there is the sun disk. And then on top of that sits our Savilama, or our root guru, in the appearance of Dorje. So here we are, and then here there's a short description how the Dorje looks. So even though the appearance is Dorje, in real or in essence, that is our root guru. So whoever your root guru is, so that is him. And the main reason that we do this practice is, and if you have, I think, if you have extremely faith and devotion to your root guru, then you can just visualize. I think you can just visualize your root guru in his or her real form. But we don't have that much of devotion to that, because sometimes when we see our root guru, then we see him changing a lot. We see him getting sick. We see him getting angry. We see him getting attached. We see him feeling sick and all this. So when we feel like this, then it is a sign that we don't see him as a Buddha. Because if we believe someone is a Buddha, then we believe that Buddha is free from all this. Buddha is free from sickness. Buddha is free from suffering. Buddha is free from getting attached, getting angry, and all this. But when we believe that our root guru is getting old, getting sick, then it means that we don't have faith in him like we should have a faith in a Buddha. So to clear that, so first what we do is we try to visualize him as someone who is perfect. So that is why we visualize him as Dorje Chang. And Dorje Chang is blue in color, and then he has one face, because as you know, in our lineage, there are so many different deities with so many different faces or so many different hands, extremely many number of hands or like that. But here, it's almost quite normal. So he has one face, and with just like us, two eyes, one nose, one mouth, and then he has two hands. So one is holding the Vajra, and one is holding the bell, representing Tap method and wisdom. And then, so his head is like this. So most of you have a tanka or a picture, then you can look at it and then you can see. And then he's looking very peacefully, and he is adorned with all the majestic, peaceful 13 uniform, which is worn by Idam or deity. And after that, then you visualize all the lineage gurus on top of him. And sometimes there are different ways where you can visualize that. Sometimes we say it's like little like the soap offering that we do, because it's something like this one. The shape is like this. And most of the time when you see a refuge tree, the picture is like this. All our root guru are like this, sitting on top of Dorje Chang. But here, it's a little different in Torch of Certainty. You just visualize on top of his head all the teachers. So Siddhipema Ninja on top of his head, and then Wangchuk Gyatso, then Titul Dorje, Chuki Chune, Chanchuk Dorje, like one top, like that. And all the way up to Dorje, from Dorje Chang to Metipa, Shawari, Papulutup, Saraha, Luturinjin, and Dorje Chang again on the top. So here it's like just very straight line. And in between, you can also visualize other great masters like Telopa, Naropa, and the great master from other Kaki lineages, and other great teachers from Tibet, India, all this you can just visualize there. And after this, then you have to visualize the Yidams. So in front of the Dorje Chang, you visualize the Yidam like Vajra Yukini, Chakra Samvara, China Sagara, and all this you can visualize in front of him, so you can see in the picture. In front, you can visualize all the years. And to the right, you visualize the Buddhas and the Buddha of the 1,000 eons, and all this you can visualize to the Dorje Chang's right. And at the back, you visualize all the Dharma teachings given by all the great masters, given by the Buddha, given by all these secret Vajrayana practitioners, and all these dharmas that were said and written by all these masters, you can visualize at the back. And then to the left, and then to the left, you can visualize like Manjushri, Jagannath, like all these deities, and all the Bodhisattvas, and Shariputra, Mangalputra, and all this, and the 16 Saras, you can visualize to the left of the Dorje Chang. And then below Dorje Chang, you can visualize the protectors like Mahakala, forehead Mahakala, six-head Mahakala, and all this, you can visualize that. And in front of all this, you are doing the prostrations. And even when we are doing prostration, it's not like we only I am doing the prostrations. You shouldn't be thinking that only I am doing the prostration, because if you think that it's only you, then it's very, very limited aspiration. So you are not doing like that, because here you are trying to do the practice for everyone, because we are Mahayana practitioners. So we have to think about everyone. And then to our right, we visualize our father, and then to the left, we visualize our mother. And not only them, we also visualize all the sentient beings in this world, and especially anyone we are very angry of, or especially someone who we are very, who we don't like them at all. So we have to visualize all of them, people who are very bad to you, who have treated very bad to you. That also we try to visualize everyone. And we visualize everyone. And then from our body to the postures, hand postures, and from our mind, we feel devotion. And from our speech, we recite the refuge prayer. We do that, and then we do the prostration. And then after, when we are done with the prostration, then we again dissolve all this Dorje and Buddhas and Idams and all these Dharma protectors and all this, we try to dissolve them into ourselves. So this is how we do the visualization. So if you have a picture, or if you are Thanga, then it's very, very helpful, because if you don't have the Thanga or picture, then it's going to be quite difficult. And when we are doing the visualization, it's quite difficult. Not only quite difficult, it's almost impossible for us to visualize all this. So what we can do is we can just try to visualize on Dorje himself as our root guru, and we try to visualize all this Idam and Dharma protectors and all this everyone. We can try to do that, but I think if we just don't put our effort, then it's quite impossible. So, but if we just try to visualize Dorje, then we will be able to know that we are improving. So today, we just try to visualize Dorje, or even if not only the Dorje, if it is very hard, then we can just try to visualize the lotus flower that he's sitting on. We just try to visualize that, and then we do this for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 5 day, maybe a week, maybe like a month, and then maybe after a few weeks or maybe a month, we will be able to visualize the lotus flower very, very clearly. And then we can slowly add the sun disk and then the moon disk. And then once you are able to do one of these visualization very properly, then after that, everything becomes quite easy to visualize. But right in the beginning, if you just think that you are visualizing all this tree, everyone in this refuge tree, then till the end you have finished so many prostration, but you will be just be thinking that you are visualizing all of this, but in actual, you won't be having so much of improvement in your visualization. So it won't be of that much help. So that is why it is very important at the beginning. You just try to visualize maybe the Dorje himself, or maybe just a flower, or maybe just a sun disk, or whatever. So from outside, it might seem like you won't be getting so much of blessing because you are just visualizing the flower, but it's not like that. You can just do that. And then after that, so we can talk about a small, something like a small description about the refuge, because sometimes when we are going in a very dangerous place, and then if you are not well equipped, or if you don't know how to fight properly, or if you don't know how to defend yourself properly, then it's going to be very difficult for you. So for that, what you need to have is you need to have a bodyguards, or bodyguards. And then if you are going through a very dangerous place, the stronger your bodyguards, the more safer you feel. The less stronger your bodyguard, the less safe you feel. And just like that, here, the three refuge are like our bodyguards. And these are like perfect bodyguards. Nobody can harm you if they are protecting you, if you are visualizing them, if you take them as refuge. So these are like the perfect refuge for us, because the danger is we might fall into samsara, especially even in samsara, like the lower realms. But if we take refuge in the Buddha, if we take refuge in the Dharma, and then if we take refuge in the Sangha, then they will be helping us from this danger. And sometimes we think, oh, yeah, we don't have to go take refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Maybe we can take refuge to some other gods, or maybe we can take refuge to our parents, or maybe some gods, or all this, some other things. But we believe that all of these, they haven't been able to protect themselves. So if they are not able to protect themselves, then how can they be able to protect us? So we believe that the perfect refuge are the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And then when we are talking about the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha, there are so many different descriptions about the Buddha. But I think for us, the very easy way, I think, for us to understand, because in the text, there are so many high level of words, high level of sentences, and then it is quite difficult for us to make sense about this. So the easiest way to identify a Buddha is someone who has no any fault in his body, or in her body, or in his speech and mind. If there is no fault in his or her body, speech, and mind, then he or she is a Buddha. So if you think like that, then I think it's very simple and very easy to identify a Buddha. So when there's no fault, then obviously he or she is going to be filled with wisdom. And then something that is said or something that is told by this person is the Dharma. And then if somebody else who are following this teaching, then those are the Sangha. But if you like go into detail, But if you go into detail, then there might be some ways you can explain it better or something like that. But I think for us, this one is quite okay. And when we are talking about Buddha, then not only someone who is perfect, but whenever we see a small statue or whenever we see a small stupa, we should all consider these as Buddha, and we should consider to pay respect to them. And even if it is a very small statue, we should still respect it. Even if it is very big, we should still respect it. And even if the text, even if it is not complete, even if it is just like one letter from text, so it doesn't have to be like Tibetan text, or it doesn't have to be like Sanskrit or Pali text, even if it is like in English or in Chinese. If it is describing about Dharma, then we should pay respect to it. Even if it is just a word or a letter, we should pay respect to it. And then in Sangha, also someone not only who is extremely perfect, but only someone who is trying to practice the teaching given by the Buddha, we should all respect to him. And not only the Sangha, but the dress, even if it is just like a very small dress of a Sangha, we should pay respect to that. And even if it is a small statue, we should try to clean it. If it is broken, we should try to fix it. If it is very dirty, we should try to clean it. If it is in a place where it is very unstable, then we should try to move it to a better place, or try to make a new one or something like that. Then when we do this, these are all a sign of having great devotion and great faith in the Dharma. And so this is like the refuge. And I think it's a very short description about the refuge. And then along with the refuge here, we can still talk about the Bodhichitta, because Bodhichitta is very, very important when we are practicing. So the main thing that makes your practice go into the correct path or make it correct, it's the Bodhichitta. If you have the Bodhichitta, then whatever practice you do is going the right way. If you don't have the Bodhichitta, even though if you take the refuge, but if you are just practicing, you might not be going in the correct path. So that is extremely important. So when you have the Bodhichitta, then not only when you are practicing, still be accumulating Dharma, you'll be still be accumulating good deeds, because the main thing is the motivation. So even like when you are sleeping, so before sleeping, if you have the Bodhichitta, then if you think like, oh, today I will sleep, and then tomorrow when I wake up, I'll be fresh, and then when I practice, it will be much better. I can practice more, I can practice much more diligently, I can visualize much better. Then if you think like that, and if you go to sleep, then even the sleep becomes, because of the Bodhichitta, even the sleep becomes like a good deed. But like us, when we go to sleep, we feel tired and then we sleep. But then the sleep doesn't bring you any good deed. It doesn't harm you, like it doesn't bring you bad deed, but it also doesn't bring you good deed. But if you like have a Bodhichitta and think that, oh, now I will go to sleep, and then tomorrow when I wake up, I'll be very fresh, and then I can practice much better, because when I'm tired, then I cannot practice well, I cannot visualize well, I cannot recite well. But when I'm fresh, then I can recite very well, I can visualize very well. So if you think like that, then even something as ordinary as sleeping will become a good deed. Even like eating, if you think that, oh, when you are eating, you make prayers and think that, oh, after I'm done eating, when I am full, then when I practice, it's going to be much better. So even if you think like that, when you are eating, when you're drinking, when you're sleeping, anything you do, if you have the bodhicitta and then if you have the wisdom, everything will become a good deed. Everything will be on the way to the Dharma. But if you don't have that, and then if you just eat, just drink, just sleep, they are not going to be a good deed. So it's very important to have bodhicitta. And then when we are talking about bodhicitta, there are like two different bodhicittas. We have the relative bodhicitta, and then we have the actual bodhicitta. Or actual or absolute bodhicitta. So I think sometimes the way people term these two bodhicitta might be a little different from what I've said, but I think you can make sense when I say like relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta. And in relative bodhicitta, we have like two different parts. We have the bodhicitta of aspiration, and then we have the bodhicitta of application. So first, we have to have the bodhicitta of aspiration. Like first, you have to have the motivation, or you have to have the thinking of, oh, I should go in there. Like first, before going from here to the stupa, first you should have the motivation, or first you should have the aspiration to go to the stupa, and then only after that you will go. So just like that, even for bodhicitta, first you should have the aspiration, or I should help someone, I should practice for someone, I should do something for someone. So that is like the first or the bodhicitta of aspiration. And then when you have that, then when you do the actual practice, or when you help someone, when you practice, then that is like the bodhicitta of application. So like these two, whatever we do, so these are like the two bodhicitta. And then the second one, the first one is the relative bodhicitta, then the second one is the absolute bodhicitta. So this is like quite difficult for us. It's more like being in the nature of mind, resting in your ordinary mind or something like that, or when you're practicing Mahamudra or like that. But for us, it's quite difficult. So what we can do, or what we are doing, is we should now focus on the relative bodhicitta, and then the more we practice relative bodhicitta again and again, and then when we practice absolute bodhicitta, it's not going to be difficult at all. And yeah, I think that's it. So other than that, I think this is just like a description about how we can do the relative bodhicitta, and it's more like a small description about all this. But I think when you read the text, it is quite easy to understand. So what we are going through is like a small rough idea about all this. So this was like the refuge and a very short description about bodhicitta. And I think we will stop here. And then the next session will be on Vajrasattva. And we will talk about it in our next session. And thank you, everyone. And we'll do the dedication now. Oh, sonam de tamche sipani, tomne nibe tanam pamche. Kega nache palap tubai, sibe soleto wa tulwa shu.